Did you know that at the peak of the Great Depression, nearly 1 in 4 Americans was out of work? That's 25% of the nation's workforce, fathers, mothers, teenagers, suddenly without a paycheck, without a safety net. Imagine waking up one morning to find your world turned upside down, no job, no food, no future. What would you do? How would you survive? Drop a comment below if you think you'd have what it takes to keep going in times like that. Science tells us that during extreme hardship, our brains trigger a fight-or-flight response, but what happened during the Great Depression went beyond survival instincts. It sparked community, resilience, and innovation like never before. From neighbors sharing what little they had, to young boys hopping freight trains in search of work, to empty main streets coming back to life through shared hope. Quick question: have you ever experienced a time when your community pulled together during a crisis? Share your story, we want to hear it. Today, we'll dive deep into what it truly meant to live through the Great Depression, not just the facts, but the human stories behind the numbers. And trust me, the lessons from those hard times are more relevant than ever. So, before we start, hit that like button if you're ready to explore the untold stories of American grit. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a journey into history that changes how you see the world. Ready? Let's go back in time, and discover how the toughest era in American history shaped the spirit of a nation. The fall of the American dream, from white picket fences to breadlines. It was supposed to be the land of endless promise. A place where hard work could buy you more than just a roof over your head, it could buy you pride, stability, and a future. The American dream: neatly trimmed lawns, white picket fences, a steady job at the factory down the street, and Sundays at the local diner. But in October of 1929, that dream shattered. Overnight, the rhythm of American life broke down. Paychecks vanished. Banks locked their doors. The same hands that once held lunchboxes now reached for government-issued bread. In towns across the country, from Detroit to Dallas, fathers stood in silence, mothers skipped meals, and children learned how to be brave before they learned how to read. And suddenly, the white picket fence wasn't a symbol of hope anymore. It was a reminder of what was lost. But this isn't just a story of collapse. It's a story of awakening. In the face of despair, Americans discovered something deeper than prosperity. They discovered community, ingenuity, grit. They learned that when the dream crumbles, the spirit doesn't have to. This is the story of how America fell, and what we found when we hit the ground. They say every American town has a main street. A place where the heartbeat of the community echoes through barber shops, bakeries, mom-and-pop stores, and corner cafes. Where a handshake sealed a deal, a Coca-Cola cost a nickel, and everybody knew your name. Main Street wasn't just a road. It was tradition. It was trust. It was home. But when the Great Depression hit, that heartbeat slowed. Shutters closed. Storefronts went dark. The smell of fresh pie from the diner disappeared, replaced by the quiet hum of desperation. The silence was deafening. Small towns across America, places like Peoria, Topeka, and Athens, Georgia, watched as their lifeblood dried up. The corner hardware store couldn't pay rent. The family grocery ran out of goods. Even the jukebox in the soda shop stopped playing. It wasn't just about money. It was about meaning. Routine turned to uncertainty. Pride turned to worry. Families who once gathered around Sunday dinner now sat in silence, wondering if tomorrow would bring work, or another empty plate. And yet, something else started to grow in that silence. Neighbors began to lean on each other in ways they never had before. A loaf of bread passed through the back door. Extra firewood left quietly on a porch. Churches opened their basements. Schools shared their lunches. Main Street didn't die, it adapted. It redefined what community meant. It reminded Americans that even when the economy breaks, the human spirit doesn't have to. Because the real strength of Main Street was never in its shops or its signs, it was in its people. Riding the rails, America's lost boys and the search for freedom. In the darkest days of the Great Depression, thousands of boys, some barely teenagers, did something extraordinary. They climbed aboard freight trains, slipping into boxcars like ghosts on the move, chasing a hope that seemed as distant as the next town. These weren't thrill-seekers or drifters by choice. They were sons of farmers, factory workers, and small-town families crushed by poverty. With no jobs, no homes, and no clear future, they became America's lost boys, riding the rails in search of work, food, or simply a place to belong. They called themselves hobos, but they weren't homeless by choice. They were survivors. Traveling under the radar, sleeping in makeshift camps known as hobo jungles, they lived a life on the edge, dodging railroad police, facing hunger, and braving the unknown. But in their wandering was a kind of freedom, rugged and raw, echoing the cowboy spirit etched into the nation's soul. Their stories became legends told around campfires and recorded in folk songs, stories of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable will to keep moving forward. These boys taught America a powerful lesson: even when the ground shifts beneath your feet, you can still ride the rails toward hope. Because in the heart of every lost boy beats the true spirit of America, fearless, restless, and unyielding. Before we close, here's something to think about. Did you know studies show that people who face adversity and come together in community actually develop stronger mental resilience than those who never face hardship? It's called post-traumatic growth, turning struggle into strength. The Great Depression wasn't just an economic disaster. It was a crucible that forged a new kind of American spirit, one built on grit, empathy, and innovation. From empty storefronts to bustling community kitchens, from silent main streets to shared hope, Americans discovered that when the system fails, people don't. Now, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what have you learned from this story? How can the resilience of those who lived through the darkest days inspire you in your own challenges? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might be the spark that helps someone else keep going. And if this story moved you, smash that like button to help others discover it too. Remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a mirror reflecting what we're capable of today. In times of crisis, it's our shared humanity that carries us forward, just like it did during the Great Depression. So let's keep this conversation alive. Subscribe for more stories that inspire and remind us of the power we hold, even when everything seems lost. Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, we carry the spirit of resilience, the true heart of America, into the future.